Good afternoon to everyone, and thanks a lot for joining us. Welcome to UNTAME Beyond Boundaries. My name is Addison from the Science Center, and I'll be your host for today. So what is UNTAME? You may ask. UNTAME was born out of Science Center's ambition to redefine guest experiences amid the pandemic, leveraging on a multi-dimensional approach to spark curiosity and self-learning, both on ground and online. This podcast is part of the UNTAME Conversations, where we will be conversing with some very special guests about wild and wacky topics around science, technology, engineering, and math. So in today's UNTAME conversation on Meat about Meatless, I'm very happy to say that it combines two of my favorite loves, science and food. And we're very happy to have two experts in their field to share with us about protein alternatives, microproteins, food security, and sustainability. In addition, we will also learn more about how to use meatless meat with two delicious recipes that we'll share very shortly. The two experts are from Mon Nissin, the parent company of corn, a meatless meat made from microproteins. So without further ado, our first speaker is Dr. Andy Kusumo, Mon Nissin's Director of Science and Technology. He's leading the development of R&D, regulatory, manufacturing infrastructure to support Mon Nissin's vision of food security and sustainability in Asia. His passion is on multidisciplinary technology and people, and together with like-minded private and public stakeholders, he would like to bring the Asian food sustainability vision even closer to reality. So over to Dr. Andy to share more about corn, the meatless meat, and its role in food security and sustainability. Dr. Andy, please.
Thank you, Edison, and I'd like also to thank Science Center who are inviting corn today to share a little bit about what we do and how to solve the food security and sustainability. Let me share my slide here. Okay. All right. Again, thank you for this time. I just want to, again, thank Science Center for us to share a little bit about corn. Whenever we think about food, generally, we don't think much beyond taste or maybe price. But what I would like to share today is a little bit about the science, especially the science behind corn, or particularly what we call mycoprotein, which is the fungus proteins that corn discovered about 50 years ago, and how corn address the issue that is facing essentially every country in the world when it comes to food, health, and sustainability. So let's start. So I just want to share a little bit about the unsustainable trajectory of animal proteins. So, obviously you probably all know or read news that the world population is growing, which is good. The world GDP per capita, meaning people purchasing power is increasing, year by year, and so this is good. But what I call some of the unintended consequences is what you see on the graph on the right, which is showing essentially the demand of animal proteins, shown by the blue graph. Compared to the population growth. So if you see that essentially the consumption of animal protein is twice as fast as the population growth. So this is the, many people nowadays understand and aware that this is not sustainable. Just to give you a little bit of a number, and people say that in about 2040, about 20 years from now, essentially the food production has to increase 70%, so almost doubles. So this is a big challenge. So why is it a big challenge? Well, just give you a bit of perspective. Again, maybe many of all of you have had burger, but never think about this. But just to share with you, one burger patty essentially involves about 3,000 liters of water footprints. So again, this is the water that is being used to raise the animals, to, you know, all of it along the value chain, the productions and everything. So 3,000 liters for a single burger patties. So it's a lot of I call it energy. And obviously, you know, because of that, you know, our planet's showing a signs of stress. Again, I just put some examples here that you may or may not know already. On the top left, you know, it's a graph that I took from NASA website. So essentially, it's a global warming showing temperature increasing the last essentially 100 years, and just a continuous. I know there's a lot of debate about it. You know, as a scientist, I'm just showing the data. And for me, the data indicates that the temperature just keep increasing. So now livestock is actually becoming the second highest contributor of greenhouse gas. So if you see the graph on the right, top right, so again, livestock's about 18%, contribute about 18% greenhouse gas. And this is even bigger than transportations. So if you think that car is the number one, I guess your guess is wrong, because a livestock contributor, you know, contributing to greenhouse gas is even bigger than transportations. Deforestation, biodiversity loss. Again, you know, to feed all these animals, you need to clear the forest. You need to grow the, you know, essentially a plant. All this. And on the bottom right, again, that pictures you may not notice. I just want to share with the science center communities with regard to antibiotics. You know, how do you think you know, I guess food manufacturer can raise animals, you know, in a sense effectively and efficiently, while that use antibiotics. And 80% of all antibiotics is actually not used for human and used for animals. So the animals, you know, you know, essentially stays healthy, but that has unintended consequence. Again, this is what people now already says about superbug. You know, essentially, you know, microorganisms or disease that is resistance to antibiotics. So all of this are what I call sometimes unintended consequences. At the same time, that was on the planet. On the same time, on the health sides, you know, WHO's, you know, just showing an examples. They mentioned that, you know, eating 50 gram processed meat a day increase, you know, the chance of developing cancer by 18%. So again, planet is one thing, health is another thing. So food is truly, you know, interlinked, cannot be separated to environment as well as our health. And you know, every country, whether it's in Asia or anywhere in the world, face this challenge today, including Singapore. With regard to diabetes. So if you compare, you know, 1980, which is what, about 40 years ago, it's from 1980 to 2015. So again, over a span of about maybe about what, 35 years, you know, essentially increased 600% in Southeast Asia, 600%. So this is issues that every country is facing today. What about obesity? Same thing. So this is a global impact. You know, the impact is not single country, it's not this or that, it's everybody. And McKinsey, from McKinsey study in 2014, they indicate that the impact on obesity on GDP is about $2 trillion. So this is the money that, again, most of it that the government, let's say, have to spend, not in something that's productive, but they have to spend a lot of things on healthcare, you know, providing medications. All this has a lot of economic impact. So this is what I call the price of obesity, which is huge. So what is the solutions that we offer from corn? The secret is this, which is what we call mycoproteins, which is actually a very tiny fungus that we discovered about 50 years ago. The fungus itself, the species is Fusarium venenatum, and it's a natural fungus that we discover from soil. So this fungus is actually naturally is actually high proteins and high fiber, and this is how we're going to solve the sustainability. Because how you solve sustainability, just like energy, in the case of energy, you're trying to bring an alternative. So the same thing with food. How do we bring sustainability? How do we bring this robustness in terms of supply chains? Well, we bring an alternative, and the alternative that we bring is an alternative from fungus, and this is a natural fungus. So that's why we call it a fungi-based proteins or mycoproteins. And certainly we are probably already hear about plant-based protein as well as obviously animal proteins. So a little bit about, many people sometimes ask me, so how is mycoprotein being produced? It's actually the process itself is a very natural. Essentially, it's through fermentations, and again, fermentations is a very, I guess, old age process. It's like, in a beer process, in a soy sauce process, is all fermentation. So same thing with mycoproteins. Essentially, we grow the fungus in, through fermentation process, and then we harvest it. So just like you grow mushroom in your backyard and you just harvest it. So the same thing, we grow the fungus through fermentation process, and we harvest it. And what we get is this, I call it sometimes like a chicken-like ground meat, a paste. You saw that pictures on the right there. And then from there, we give flavors through our culinary know-how and science and our technology. We create different food and we pack it. So over the past 35 years, more than 35 years since we first launched our product in UK in 1985, globally right now we have about 100 products, more than 100 products, and we already bring this to more than 20 countries. So in Singapore itself, we start this journey about 4 years ago, and this is the products that we bring. So some of the products are what we call ingredient. Ingredient is something like, if you go to a supermarket, like a chicken breast, essentially this is for our consumer who loves to cook themselves, who loves to put the flavor themselves. And I think Chef Mark will share a little bit about how you can do that. But this is also for our partners like chefs who likes to create their own cuisines and dish. And we also have products who are what we call convenient. So this is for consumer who just buy and just heat it right away, whether that's microwave, whether that's oven, or whether that's air fryer. If let's say nuggets, they don't want to use deep fryer, they can just throw it into a air fryer for about 10-12 minutes, and that's about it. And also we have a products that are strictly vegan. So we have vegetarian as well as vegan in corn. And so we bring about 16 products to Singapore right now. So again, how is corn addressing the issue that I mentioned earlier, which is about planet sustainability? Well, it's essentially to produce corn is essentially 10 times less environmental impact. So this is not a number that we just create. Actually, corn is the first global meat alternative brand that is achieved third-party certifications of carbon footprint. So every year, so this is with the Carbon Trust, every year our factory will be audited, and measure So this number is not in terms of carbon footprint, feed efficiency, land efficiency, water resource efficiency. All of this come from that audit, come from that study that we have to commit to. So this is our commitment, and this is again to share with you how corn address the planet sustainability in terms of providing food that is doesn't require essentially require much less resource. On the health side, how is corn and mycoproteins address the issue with regard to diabetes or obesity, which is again the two issues. So if you look at from a nutrition standpoint, it's what I call probably, I would say, virtually a perfect nutrition. So what do I mean by perfect? Well, generally when people buy food in a nutrition standpoint, what they're looking for: high proteins, which is in mycoprotein, high fiber, which is in mycoproteins. And generally people say, well, you shouldn't eat you should eat low calorie. Well, that is mycoproteins. Low fat, that is mycoproteins, about 3%, and sugar, low sugar, which is 0 in corn. So this is what I call ideal, almost or virtually ideal food for everybody. So over the past 20 years, we collaborate with many academics. Again, I can share with you a little bit more detail, but just to share with you, when people eat mycoprotein, what's happening with their body? What is that health benefit that they get? Their blood cholesterol is reduced, the blood glucose controls, they feel full longer, so they eat less. So we're talking about obesity, diabetes, weight management. All three can be addressed by corn. Non-allergen, complete proteins, meaning all the amino acids, essential amino acid is in mycoproteins. And the study that the latest one, which I think is amazing, coming from the study that we did over the past few years, is that mycoproteins is indicated to stimulate muscle growth even better than milk protein, which is essentially unheard of. So this paper essentially is the reference is down there in this slide. This is coming from a clinical study that we did with University of Exeter in UK sports science program. So where's when it talks about the food, right? At the end of the day, how do people enjoy food? Well, it's the textures. It's the meat textures. So the mycoprotein naturally has the meat textures. Why? Because the mycoprotein, the fungus itself has, when we look at under microscope, it does looks like a plant fibers. So in a way, it looks like a meat fibers. And then through our know-how in our process, we develop a meat-like texture. So that picture on the left there. So you see that those three pictures on the left, especially the one that looks like a crispy chicken there, that is the corn structure. So that is naturally coming from the mycoprotein itself. So from there, we can create essentially any dish. So think about this almost like sometimes, from a food standpoint, sometimes think about this is like what we're trying to do from corn is we're creating another animal, which is not from animals. I know it may sound, a bit of confusing, but essentially that's it. We can create any corn dish, any cuisine, anything. And I know Chef Mark will share a little bit more about how to create this dish with corns. So with that, thank you very much for your attention. I hope you learn a little bit about corn. I hope you learn a little bit about the interlink between food and sustainability and health. So thank you very much.
Hey, thank you very much, Dr. Andy. Thank you so much for sharing. It's really insightful. And for me, it's useful to know that your latest study shows that mycoprotein can actually help build muscle mass. And I think it's the perfect product for the fitness enthusiast. And I definitely need it to be even fitter because I need to get those muscles up, you know. So, and it's double benefits because at the same time, 10 times less, you know, and definitely at the same time, you're helping the environment. So thanks a lot for sharing.
No problem.
At this juncture, let me introduce our second speaker, Chef Mark. He has a wealth of experience and has been cooking for about 20 years now. So a whiz in the kitchen, Chef Mark is passionate about culinary application and development, and he believes in a simple, tasty approach to cooking, where we let the flavors speak for themselves. So he's my type of chef because he keeps things simple and he makes them taste good. So the good chef is going to be sharing with us more about how to cook with corn, including 2 wonderful recipes. So get your taste buds ready, everyone, and over to you, Chef Mark. Let's turn up the temperature in the kitchen.
Thank you so much, Edison, for the wonderful introduction. So today, I think what we're going to do is to introduce you to corn and how this meat-free protein will, change hopefully some of our viewers' diets, and also how they can replicate some of these dishes at home. So without further ado, we're going to go through our first dish. Hopefully, you get it in time for dinner. So we're using our corn fillets. So what we have here out of the bag is our corn fillet. So if you can see here, I'm going to show you one piece. It looks like a chicken breast. So I think when Dr. Andy was talking about, the textures of meat-like protein and found in mycoprotein, you can see it here. You see how it's structured like a chicken fillet. And that's what it is. It is not mock meat, or I think we're very used to this idea that, all these meat-free products are like mock meat, but it's not. Is actually a new type of protein. We would say a future kind of food. And we're not here to take over the world and say no more meat, but just replace some of your diet or a day once a week and have a meat-free protein day. So the rest of the ingredients we're going to use is a bit of oil, all right? And some aromatics. We're using some star anise, some cardamoms and cloves, and cinnamon sticks here, all right? And then for flavoring, we have a bit of light soy sauce, okay? And also dark soy sauce, some Chinese mushrooms here, and some vegetable stock. So what we're gonna do now is to actually pan fry the corn fillets, just like how you'll pan fry some chicken breast prior to braising it. We're going to do the same. So this helps to give it a bit of texture. So straight out the bag, this gives it texture and a bit of taste as well. So for all corn products, from the ingredient range, we actually recommend that you pan fry it, or you give it a bit of a oil and a heat treatment.
Oh, I can hear it
so this
sizzling,
will help
Chef Mark.
To give it a bit of color and also, have a bit of caramelization.
Oh, you can hear it sizzling.
Yep. So you can use the same pot later on to braise this. So we're just going to lightly pan fry it. As you can see a bit here, you have a little browning already. So corn has very little fat when we produce this mycoprotein. So we are introducing a bit of fat as well. And that will help with the mouthfeel and the texture. All right. So just a little bit. Pan fry here. So what else can you do with this fillets? You can actually turn it into like, we have a very popular item that we like to do in the demonstration kitchen, which is a Hainanese chicken rice, but using our fillet. You also can make like curries. You can even slice it up and make a stir fry. So we treat this like how we would treat a chicken breast. And the applications can be endless as well for any cuisine. So for like Chinese cuisine, we'll do this. So next step, we'll put in the aromatics and a little bit more oil. Okay, so this will just give it a bit more fragrance. You can choose to add some other aromatics like garlic and onion. Okay. So next we're going to put the light soy. A little bit of smoke here. Some of the mushrooms. And our stock.
Chef Mark, what stock are you using, by the way?
So this is a vegetable stock, which we pre-made. So you can make it with some carrots, cabbage, and white radish if you're not, for those viewers who don't take allium. But you know, if you don't have any dietary restrictions, you know, you can add in some onion, garlic as well. Okay, so we're just going to let it boil up a little bit. So as I was saying, we can actually have many applications for this. So you can actually pan fry it. You can put a bit of herb seasoning and then pan fry it, and then you can put it on a salad. So that's more of a Western kind of dishes. You can find many of our recipes on our corn website. So that's QURN.com.sg.
Cool.
And so we're just waiting for this to boil a little bit.
And Chef Mark, what's the difference between cooking with meat, actual meat, and corn?
I mean, the difference is how you like start from a base. So with the corn, our base is actually very clean. So unlike other, maybe like meat, for example, it has a lot of fat, maybe some other meat-free proteins as well. You actually have a lot of fat involved as well. So our product is actually very clean. It has very low sodium as well. So that helps when you're building up recipes, for example. So with other type of proteins like soy or pea protein, it's actually very bitter in aftertaste. So what they do is actually put a lot of flavoring and spices on it. So that actually is, you know, you already have a very heavy sodium. So when you add on flavors and you want to build your curry, for example, you actually have to put on more seasoning, and then that will actually make the dish very salty.
Okay.
So with our product, we actually have a very clean product. So it allows you to control the amount of sodium you want to take, salt intake, and also your fat intake. So that, in a way, is different. Okay, so now it's boiling. So I'll just put in the fillets here. All right. So like how you braise traditional meat, we'll actually braise it in the same way. So you can, once it's boiling, we'll turn it down and leave it to braise for another 20 minutes. So the thing about corn, and just now when you see this protein here, the layering, it's actually very good for absorbing flavor. So when we soak it, you will see that later it go all the way through. And like a sponge, it will actually stop. It will not, once it has enough of flavor and of all that nice aromatic stock, it will actually stop absorbing that. All right, so that's our first dish. So we're gonna put it aside, and then next we're gonna go on to the next dish that we're gonna cook. So I got a pan here. So what next we're gonna do is our fried rice. And what we're going to introduce you now is our mince, also part of our ingredient range. So our mince here, all right. So there's a corn mince, and also our sausages. So our sausages is good for, you know, breakfast or some, you know, that's a late night snack as well. And you'll see here in our mince, and the texture it comes out to, yeah, just like how you find your ground mince, be it chicken or pork or beef. So it's all made from the same product, mycoprotein. So we have many different usage, many ways to make it. And that helps when you are looking for culinary application. So sometimes when you have only, let's say, you know, we only have one type of meat-free protein, you're going to be bored. You can't do the same thing all day long. But, you know, with corn, we have fillets, we have pieces, which is like shaped like a cube. We also have, you know, like mince, and also like our convenient range. We have our burger patties. We actually have sausages, meatballs, and we have 14 different types of SKUs here in Singapore. SKUs meaning products, sorry. So what I'm going to do first is pan fry the mince. So straight from frozen. All right. Out of the bag, we're just going to put in a bit of oil just now. And then give it a bit of color. So all these were, like Dr. Andy mentioned, these were all cooked before packing and before it was frozen. Okay. Sorry, Edison, you had a question just now?
Yeah, I had a question. It looks interesting. So do you have to actually thaw it before you put it in the pan, or can you just throw it straight in?
We recommend throwing it straight in, straight from the freezer, open up. This helps actually with food safety, and also this product can work very well out of the freezer.
Okay.
All right, so while this is going on, I'm going to introduce you to the rest of the ingredients here. Okay, so we have our asparagus that we chopped up, some diced carrots, and the brown rice. Okay, and for seasoning, we will have some salt, some sugar, and some white pepper. All right. So as I said, these products are actually very neutral in taste. So it's up to you to add in your flavoring. So if you prefer it a bit more tasty, you can add in more salt, pepper, chili. It's really up to you. So the culinary applications, as I said, is endless. And for mince, what I normally do sometimes is actually make a mapo tofu with that. If you're looking for a Chinese cuisine, for Indian cuisine, you can make a keema, just like how you do with lamb mince. Bolognese is a very popular dish that I share with some of our customers as well. So we do a 3-step bolognese, something very simple, something that you can cook at home as well. So what we're trying to do here is just give it a bit of color and texture. So this helps with giving it a better bite as well, a better texture, mouthfeel. Okay, so this process will take about 2 to 3 minutes, depending on the heat that you get from your stove. All right. Okay, so we're going to set it aside. And next, we're going to do the sausages as well. So I slice the sausages up, pour it a little bit. So this will help give it a bit more color and also make it have that nice crunch. As you see just now, the wonderful thing about corn is all that absorption that you get. Unlike traditional protein where it dispels water and then you can't get the flavors back in. So with this, like our mince, you have a very nice, we put in the oil just now, it all soaked up. And then that will do the same for flavors as well and seasonings. So we're just browning it a little bit here. Yep, here we go. Nice brown color here. And you can see like the herbs that goes into the sausage as well. So no preservatives, and that's why it has to be frozen. A very healthy product. Okay, so this is done really quickly. So over in Singapore, our very popular product would be our nuggets. And that's something that, you can take out of the bag, air fry it. And that would really, be a treat for kids. And my kids love these nuggets as well. I can show you here, right up here. All right, these are our corn nuggets. So, you know, it really tastes like our very popular fast food restaurant. And the only difference is that it's actually cleaner in taste. It doesn't have that really fatty, lingering mouthfeel in the mouth after you eat it. All right, so we got that done, and then we just put it next to the mince. So we can start our dish proper. So a little bit more oil, and then some asparagus. Okay, all of it there. Okay, so we're just gonna fry them. So these are used asparagus, the big fat ones, and then if you don't have them in your local grocer or supermarket, you can substitute for some Thai asparagus as well. So you can put in any vegetable actually. And I didn't blanch these because I like them a little bit more fresh and have a bit and a good bite. So we just chop them up raw. So I've done the carrots. Okay, and these were just blanched lightly in water for about 5 minutes, just a little bit softer. Okay. So next, we're just going to season this a little bit. So I'm putting in a bit of salt, a bit of sugar, and some ground up pepper. Okay. So for those who are a bit more advanced cooks, you can actually put in, you know, whatever flavoring or seasoning you like. This is a very basic recipe. Keeping it simple, giving the letting the produce speak for itself. You know, the sweetness from the vegetables, and also then you get the nice taste from the corn products as well. So we boiled the brown rice prior to this, and it was left in the fridge overnight. Okay, just a tip, if you're cooking this at home, and one thing I like to do with fried rice is actually marinate the rice. What I mean by that, so sometimes when you're in a wok, you're doing so many things, you know, I would actually like to season the rice first by putting the salt, pepper, and aromatics all on the rice, give it a good toss, and then after that, putting it in a pan. Okay, so while this is going down, we'll add the rest of the ingredients in. So you have a nice ingredient-filled fried rice. So really depends on how much carbs you want. You can put in more or less rice. So you can even substitute it with the corn fillet or any other ingredient range that we have. So really depending on how much you have. One thing why we recommend also that you take it out from the freezer and use it straight away, because sometimes you might not have, you might not need so much. So you can take out half a bag, and if it's not thawed, you can actually, use whatever you need and put it back in the freezer for your next meal. So that's another thing that, and it's because it's all IQF, it's all great to, just pour it out and then use what you need, right? So it doesn't clump together and you don't need to break it apart. So it's really convenient for those who have smaller families who might not need, so much ingredient or so much protein at a time. You can just take out, a couple of sausages, keep it back in the freezer and use it again. Okay, so we are done with this. All right, so we're gonna plate now. All right, so we're just gonna add this in. So this is good for 2. Not good for me. All right. It's got some of the asparagus here. Okay. And some spring onions that we'll just put on the side. Okay. So that's our first dish, fried brown rice with corn sausages and mince. Okay. And then we're going to plate the next one. Yep. So like what we have here, the mushrooms. So this was done prior. So after half an hour, since we don't have that time. So we soaked some, did it beforehand. Okay, so this is the corn fillets, as you can see. Really look like a chicken fillet and how it's take on that nice gravy. So we're just gonna pour a bit in. Okay. And so how I was telling you, we can, you know, how that texture really takes in that flavor, as you can see here. All right, really nice brown. It went all the way in. So soaking up that flavor. And just garnish it with some coriander leaves, spring onion. Okay. So all done in what, 20 minutes or less? So we're just going to leave it here. All right. And we have our nice Chinese mushrooms, braised corn fillet in soy, and also our fried rice with corn sausages and mince. All right.
Wow. It looks delicious, Chef Mark.
Thank you.
Well, why do you pick those 2 dishes, by the way?
Sorry?
Why do you pick those 2 dishes?
Well, we wanted, well, I wanted to showcase, you know, something simple that you can make at home, and also how quickly it can be done. I think, you know, sometimes we hear housewives complaining, you know, I take 2 hours to prepare a meal and then it's done in 15 minutes. So that's something that, you know, you're done eating in 15 minutes. And so we're trying to find recipes that's easy to replicate at home, that you don't need so much time, but it's, you know, healthy and it's filling and something wholesome as well. So that's something that, you know, these 2 recipes that can be done really quickly. One, the fried rice can be done in like what, 20 minutes, 15 minutes. And, you know, this, you can just actually braise it, and, you know, you don't need to spend so much time preparing. All you need to do is just put it in a pot, or, you know, you have those slow cookers at home. You can put it there, and then an hour later, you're done. So these dishes are, you know, I picked them up because it's simple, nutritious and healthy, and easy to prepare.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Definitely something I can try out, you know, for myself.
Anyone, I'm very sure.
Yeah. So anyway, so thanks a lot, Chef Mark. I think I can really smell them over on my side as well. So leave some for me. And before we say bon appetit, I think to our audience who are listening in as well, if you're looking for some healthy and sustainable dishes for dinner, so check out all these recipes. The recipes can be found in the cookbooks available in the Untamed Wild Kits. And I'd like to thank Mon Nissim for providing these cookbooks as well. If you don't have your hands on the cookbooks, don't worry. The recipes can also be found on the Corn website, which is www.corn.sg. So you can pull out more of the information on the recipes over on that site. So with that said, I'm sure everyone has questions for our experts. And to kick it off, maybe I can start first and pose a question of my own to both of the speakers. I guess to Dr. Andy and to Chef Mark. So when was the first time you heard about this protein alternative, and what convinced you to move away from animal-based foods? Dr. Andy, maybe you can go first.
Okay. Thank you, Anderson. Yeah, I think you know, I'm certainly growing up in Asia, although I live in United States for a while as well. I mean, alternatives proteins is actually in a way is not new to our part of daily diet. I just named tofu. So I think on itself, it's for me it's nothing new. If I mean for me, eating alternative protein is nothing new. What I feel is what we're trying to bring, or what I call what is new and what we're trying to address is actually what I call, I don't want to call it a meat replacement, but in a way, it's a better, yeah. I mean, you can call it a better meat. I mean, essentially, all the good thing meat without all the bad thing of the meat. Those are the thing that we're trying to bring from corn. So yeah.
Sounds good. And Chef Mark, when was the first time you heard about this?
Well, I tasted corn way back in 2016 when it first came. So at the time I was running my own place, and they brought a sample down, the nuggets, and you know I tried it out with all my staff then, and no one else could tell the difference. So that to me was something that I thought was very interesting. So I just joined corn 3 months ago, and one of the reasons why I took on this job was to, as a chef, you know, you have skills of cooking, and this is something that I've learned over the 20 years of cooking. But to me, the greatest calling now is to actually, you know, try to make this a sustainable product, tasty, healthy, and also something that, you know, consumers will be able to take home and use it and replicate the same dishes that I do in my demo kitchen. So that's something that, you know, really inspires me, you know, not just cooking good food, but, you know, cooking good food for the next generation.
Okay, so yeah. I think definitely you've inspired us with your answers as well. So for the audience out there, if you haven't tried corn, let's make 2020 the year that you go and try it, okay? So let's go and check out our message boards to see whether we got any questions from the audience. And it seems we do. So maybe I'll read out the first question. It's from Xiu Hui. And she asks, where and how do you grow the fungi? For the microproteins, I presume. So maybe Dr. Andy, you like to answer this one?
Yes. I think so. I used to work in pharmaceuticals. The process is actually similar to how in what I call biopharmaceuticals, essentially through a fermentation process. But in a way, in a food as well, fermentations, like I say, is this process is very similar to making beer. You know, essentially use a stainless steel fermenter in a very hygienic, very clean environments to ensure that all the safety and quality are in place for the product. So it's a very clean environment. So how is it being discovered? As I shared earlier, the fungus itself is discovered about 50 years ago. So the technology here is actually, in a way, it's already, people know this in a biotechnology area. Essentially, you just freeze this fungus. Every time you want to produce, you just take a little bit of it and then you grow it. So that's how it is. Literally, almost like I call it nothing different than agriculture, or I call it cultivations. You making more out of it, you know. It's just we're not doing it in a big land. We are doing it in what we call, I guess you can call it vertical farming, which is actually correct. Which is actually, it is a vertical farming in a way, because it's we done in a stainless steel reactors.
Okay. Wow. Sounds very high tech, and it's good to know that it's done in a safe way, and you know, it's safe to eat as well.
Yes.
So let's tackle the next question. I think we've got questions pouring in. And the next one, I think, Dr. Andy, maybe you can help us out with this. Where was corn founded, and why is corn named corn? I guess basically they're thinking, does it stand for anything?
Yeah, no, actually, corn itself came about in, again, 1960s when there's already a food securities at the time. Now, I think the corn itself, the name doesn't have any, I guess, meaning. I mean, other than it was the so-called the founder of corn using it. So when Moninesians acquire in 2015, yeah, suddenly we don't change the name. The name stays corn. What we're trying to do is we want to bring corn because prior to that, corn was very I call it generally only known in the Europe, and maybe United States. And when Moninesians acquire corn, we are bringing to more countries, and now one of the countries is certainly Singapore.
Okay, interesting.
Yes.
And I think, we've got another question, and sorry to put you in a spot again, Dr. Andy, but so we've got a question from Jen, and this is related to the first question, that was posed. Can we make the corn kind of meat with mushrooms at home? So if someone wants to actually do it in their home, is it possible or is it difficult?
Yeah, maybe to answer this question, it's actually not, due to time, I'm not able to share the detail of the process. But essentially, again, maybe the best, I keep coming back to making beer, not encouraging anyone to drink beer or making beer, but those are probably the closest process that people probably know about. Generally, when you make beer, you add sugar. That's how you grow this fungus Fusarium venenatum and what we call mycoprotein, which is essentially the whole fungus. We just add the sugar and they grow, they multiply, and we harvest it. So I would say in theory, yes, you can do this at home. I mean, as long as you have this fungus, you can do it. It's a natural. There's no GMO or nothing like that. All the raw materials are naturals. So yes, you can do it. It's just we just doing it in a very clean, safe environment to the quality specification, etc., to make sure that it's up to our standards.
Okay, thanks a lot. Looks like we're running out of time, so I'll take in one last question, and this question maybe Chef Mark, you can help us with it. So I totally identify with this question because if you're alone and if you're not a heavy or a big eater, and you get a bag of corn and sometimes you just finish a little bit of it. So I think the question is, how long can you keep an open packet of corn?
Yeah, so coming back to why corn is best done or we use it frozen, I think you can keep it as long as the shelf life or the best before date, but not in the fridge or chiller, but best back frozen. So open the bag, take as much as you want because it's all IQF, pour it out. Okay. Well, this is good for one. And then just seal it back and then keep it in the freezer again. And then when you want to use it, you can take it out again. Just pour it out and straight on. So use it once frozen, straight from the freezer, but not chilled and then put it back in the freezer.
Okay, so usually so 1 or 2 months, or how long do you usually can keep it?
Yeah, so after when it's open, I think best to keep it for at most another 2-3 weeks.
Okay. Good. Thank you very much. Thank you for answering. I know that there are many more questions, but unfortunately we've run out of time. So on behalf of the two experts, thank you everyone for tuning in. And if you're interested in getting your hands on corn products, rest assured they're available, via major supermarkets in Singapore and also online. Corn is also available at selected F&B restaurant partners island-wide. And a wonderful thing has just happened in celebration of this Untamed Beyond Boundaries event. You all can enjoy $10 off at these exclusive corn partners: London Fat Duck, Rebel, Ichiban Bento, and Itaden Udon. So all you need to do is enter in a promo code and upon the checkout to enjoy this discount. So we're going to post all these promo codes and these discounts and the terms and conditions onto the Facebook Live video comments. So just go up there and pick it up and then use it as soon as you can. Finally, remember to hashtag UntamedSG in your social media posts. Names of all lucky winners will be posted on our Untamed Facebook page, so keep a lookout for that. And with that, thank you, and remember, when it comes to STEM, nothing is beyond boundaries. Thank you very much for tuning in. Over and out.